very little food in the cupboard, just enough, for breakfast and, things to, just keep our family going. But financially, we had just came to at our end. I owned a mortgage company. I went from almost making 6 figures a year to making about $4,000 a year. My wife had gotten a call from, one of our friends that just decided to invite us over. And she said, we just need to go over, put everything behind us for the day, not really think of much. And we had put some gasoline on the fire, because it was just not lighting. And so my friend, he said, I'm going to go get a drink and you get it started. So, this brush, and I lit it on fire. And as soon as I lit it, it exploded. And the flames just went in my face. It totally engulfed my body. And it was just extreme pain instantly. I remember just screaming, the loudest scream I've ever screamed in my life. I ran into their pool area. They had a saltwater pool. When I went under the water and I came up, my wife said it looked like my skin was just melting off my face. And that's when the pain really started setting in. It was excruciating. I said, call 911. And I remember them telling my wife that he's got 2nd and 3rd degree burns. They said, we're going to have to get him transferred to a burn unit where they are more prepared to take care of it. And at that point, I remember my wife being there and a friend with her. And our pastor had came, and I had asked them at that point, I said, pray for me. Back when I was 4 years old, blood blisters all over my body. 100% of my body was covered in blisters. I don't remember much of that time, in the hospital because I was at such a young age. But at that age, growing up, my parents had always told me anybody that would come to visit me, I would always ask them to pray for me. And that would be the very first thing that I'd ask every single person that came into the room, was to pray for me. In result, when I got burned in this accident, that was the story that I always had remembered being told, was how I asked for prayer. And so immediately, our pastor came and my wife was there and some friends were around me, and I started to ask them to pray for me. And from the transfer from this hospital to the burn unit in Orlando, when the doctors had looked at me, they said, these are no longer 2nd and 3rd degree burns, they're 1st and 2nd degree burns. And I know instantly, I know that when people started praying for me, God began the healing process at that point. Collagen would form on my arms and my legs, and they would have to come in with a tongue depressor every single day and scrape those open wounds. And so they gave me morphine and different medications during those dressing changes, and they gave me another medication that allowed me to get through the dressing changes but not remember the pain associated with it. So I'm very thankful. And there was a particular day that the nurse looked at me and she said, if you want to go home, you're going to have to be able to get through these dressing changes without pain medication. And that was horrifying to me. My wife and her mother, my mother-in-law, was there, and they laid hands on my feet and they said, Father, in the name of Jesus, I just pray that you will let Matt know that you are here with him. And I felt 3 taps right here on this shoulder. And I promise you, if you would have been there, you would have seen an indent on my shirt. It was so realistic. It was a physical touch. It wasn't anything on the inside. It was so realistic that I opened my eyes and I began to cry because he showed up. He showed up for me. He showed up, he was listening to my wife and he was listening to her mom pray. And the God of creation showed up in that room to touch me. Our finances, our situation of being in the hospital, that God was there and he was just letting me know, I'm in control, I've got this. People began to anonymously send checks to us from all over the United States that was able to carry us you know, to dig us out of that hole that we were in and carry us for, you know, enough time till I was able to get back to work and start bringing home an income again.
How great the love of Jesus Christ. On the cross of Calvary, the blood was shed that pardons me. No longer bound, no